Welcome to DeWitt Clinton Express. My name is BillMurawski, and this is a neighborhood news program coming to you from New York City. And with us once again, and continuing to the end of time, we have Donald Wingfield, investigative reporter from the Black Star News, who's nice and snappy with his bright clothes. And no, I'm not asking you for a date.
Thank you.
This show we're going to cover the Arizona immigration law. And this is something that's been coming up since the presidential campaign, talking about 10 million immigrants and, you know, immigration rights and yada yada yada. And we have a clip here, which when I saw when I saw how many people were demonstrating, I said there was more people. They were allowing more people to be shown in the media than it was with the original Iraq War. So why don't we go to that clip and take a look at it, and we'll talk about the Arizona law and see what we come up with immigration rights.
In the city and all across the country, supporters of immigrant rights took to the streets to call for immigration reform, and two of those May Day rallies were held here in the city. Our Rochelle Boone has more.
Citizenship for the undocumented and more workers' rights for all immigrants. That was the message from protesters who gathered for the annual May Day rally and march from Union Square to Foley Square in Lower Manhattan. Shouting, "Yes, we can," many said the country's immigration system is broken and it's time for reform. They say it's important to them and immigrant families living in America.
We're all workers here, and we want the immigration reform as soon as possible. And we want it this year because we want the best for our families.
But I'm here to support all our brothers and sisters from Mexico and other countries that they don't have the same rights that we have as Americans here.
Well, if you're undocumented, you're not a U.S. citizen, so you're not granted those rights.
I understand, but this is why that's what we are here for. So they could go ahead and do the reform.
Thousands of people turned out for the event, many of them fueled by anger over Arizona's new immigration law, allowing law enforcement officials to question anyone they suspect is in the country illegally. Many fear the law could spread across the country.
There's a real danger of that unless it's confronted and stopped right here.
I understand the illegal immigration, but there should be other ways to find remedies for this big problem.
Rallies similar to this one were held all across the country and here in New York. While many were gathered here in Union Square, others rallied at Foley Square near City Hall.
If I was in Arizona, I was born in the United States of America against my will. So what would they do to me? They would be frisking me and think that I'm an immigrant. I was born here. What are you going to say in terms of those that look like immigrants that are here?
At the gathering in Foley Square, the protesters were joined by some local political leaders.
Now is important because if it's happened in Arizona, it could possibly happen in New York. We need to make sure that the Republican candidates here and Steve Levy and Rick Lazio don't do the same thing that Governor Jan Brewer did in Arizona.
In Manhattan, Rochelle Boone, New York 1.
And May Day events for immigration reform went marching throughout cities across the country. Demonstrators turned out by the thousands to protest in Washington. Illinois Congressman Luis Gutierrez was among the protesters arrested outside the White House. Thousands more demonstrated throughout Texas. In Dallas, protesters held signs depicting Arizona Governor Jan Brewer as a Nazi and an Arizona sheriff as a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Hundreds of thousands of activists filled the streets of downtown Los Angeles. Rallies were also held in dozens of cities, including Atlanta and Chicago.
Now, look at all of those people.
Well,
what happened?
You know what? That was a census moment. That was a time for the census. People got their people out there and got a count.
They wouldn't have talked to anybody.
Well, you have to talk to nobody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey.
Yeah, but how do you know you're not recounting them? But this is obviously a very hot issue, yeah. And the politicians created it.
Well, it's for good reason. It's a big question as to the word in itself, immigration? You know, what does it mean? You know, when did the word immigration stand for just people coming from Caribbean islands or Mexico? You know, everyone here in America, if you're not an American Indian, you're immigrant.
You're an immigrant. We're all immigrants.
You know, so I clearly know that immigration law is clearly misplaced, and it's acting upon, almost like discriminatory on just a targeted class of people.
No, my own experience with two areas of the immigration law, it takes about 4 or 5 years. Now, I've had two people. I've helped two people, and to put them fill out the paperwork and the process.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 years to become a citizen, that's like kind of over the top. That's number one. So why not speed up that system? This immigration law, for some reason, I feel, I don't believe, but I feel that this immigration law in Arizona is just a matter of a state saying, hey, we have a problem with immigration. We have a problem with people, with non-Americans taking away jobs from Americans. Well, shame on us, because we allowed that to happen, because we allowed people who are not documented, who are not American citizens, to come here to take jobs.
Yeah, but you know what?
And it started a long time ago.
It started a long time ago. It's almost like
on local levels.
Yeah, it goes back to saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay, because as long as they was here, they used them to cut jobs from American citizens. Mm-hmm. Because yeah, sure, I would pay somebody $3 to do work for me, other than pay someone who has citizenship and working papers hourly wage. Of course, I'm saving money. Of course, I wouldn't have to give this person health benefits. So they took advantage of the situation for years. Now these people are here, and then you can't hang out the sign saying, we are a melting pot. This is America. You come here, you work hard, and you accept it. And then when millions of people take on that, jumping fences or whatever, swimming through oceans to get here, you can't hang up that banner and barbed wire fence saying, no, we don't want you here. You can't have it both ways.
Right. No, on one hand, on one hand, you have people who come here illegally, and they'll earn cash. Nothing's documented. But you know what? They pay taxes.
Well, that's
they pay taxes. So there's a taxation without representation issue.
Well, it goes again. Is it right for them to be quote unquote undocumented, to be here without coming here through the problem system, immigration system? Yeah. But you have people who's coming here for a better way of life, like everyone here in America.
Well, if you're going to come here for a better way of life, do it the right way.
Well, the right way. Well, it's called survival. The way they got here, they thought was the right way for them to get here, and now they want to make it right.
The right way was survival. Well, let them make it right. I don't have any problems with letting them make it right. Let them become citizens, and let them stay here. But there's laws on the books already to go through the process. Okay, so what laws have to be changed? If you're not a citizen, you're going to get deported. Maybe that's one thing that has to be changed. But let me get back to this other thing where this was, and Giuliani Rudolph Giuliani was the biggest culprit of this. In New York City and in New York State, if you have a contract with an agency, a government agency, you are supposed to hire people who are tradesmen, people who have licenses, people who are union members, people who know how to do the work. Now, there was one incident that I was working with a union organizer, and this guy Joe Restuccio, who I was talking about before, who owns CHDC, he was using that type of labor. He was using the $10 an hour labor, and Tony, I'll use his name, Tony, and I went to the different sites. Tony and I went to the different sites, and we tried to, he tried to get his union involved. They wouldn't let him get involved. And I finally went to the mayor's office of code enforcement, and the director at the mayor's office of code enforcement is an agency that has a building inspector and a police officer that go out together. And so you don't, it prevents payoffs. Right. So the guy says to me, he says, it came down from the top that if we find an immigrant worker on a job, we're not supposed to do anything. Now, it's my taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars. We're trying to support middle America, the middle class. And here's a jerk saying, no, you're not going to get involved in immigration issues. How is that fair? This is 1995. This is happening. 1994, right. 1995.
Yeah, right. This has been going.
This is part of a bigger plan.
This is not overnight. I mean, this has been going on for years. And the first wave that got over here, it went well until everyone was saying, well, look, everybody keep coming. No one put a red curtain up to stop it. It was here, and while it was here, they was taken advantage of. Now, these people want to be treated as Americans. They want to become Americans. They even saying, look.
Oh, they're going to want the benefits?
They know who they are.
They're going to want the benefits?
Of course.
Now, what happens to the people I put out of work?
Look. These people have credit cards. You don't get credit cards if you undocumented, okay? They don't have Social Security numbers, but they have tax identification numbers that they use to work with. They're getting issue numbers for they could pay the tax on the monies that they're making. They're paying taxes. So being that they drawing a tax revenue, they've been here. Now all of a sudden, someone wants to go into the immigration law book and say, oh, this is what we're supposed to be enforcing now, when you haven't been enforcing it for the last 1 or 2 decades.
And you can't have it both ways.
And if the law is on the book, you have over 20 million what they want to call undocumented people here. That speaks very highly on your border control, which no one was paying attention to back then. So, I mean, here we are.
Speaks highly of them?
Not highly that in a positive way, But here we are, and these numbers are here. You see them marching in the millions. You can't get on camera and say, oh, a couple of thousand people. No, they're like 1 million people, marching across this country. And it has to be dealt with. So, I mean, like I said before, you got to go back to that word immigration. When did the immigration solely becomes a word for people from the Caribbean and people from Latino-speaking countries? So, I mean, when you start dishing out these laws, I mean, you got to do it across the board to everyone that came here and is not an American citizen and want to become an American. And I don't see other groups being targeted just like this group is.
Do you think that the law in Arizona, it will happen as, and it was funny, the Representative Peralta was there, and he says, we have to let these Republicans, Steve Levy and somebody else, not let them happen. Is that a clue that we're going to have a Republican governor?
Well, it's that testing the waters again. I mean, there's groups out there sleeping at the wheel, and this stuff is nothing but history in repeating. And it may not be on the form of slavery, but it's just the same. It's the same drive, and it's who's thinking these things up, who's sitting down, getting paid to think of something like this. How are you going to stop people on the street? It's profiling, clear and simple, that you suspect them to be an immigrant. How are you going to? I mean, Sammy Sosa walking in Arizona.
Honestly, I think they're overstating it. I don't think they would just go and stop anybody who they thought was an immigrant.
They said it, they'd do it. It's probably been happening already. That they just making a law that they could just do it more enforced. I mean, look at since 9/11. Look at here. I mean, you drive a car in the city, and just because you in front of a police car, just because you in front of that police car, and you just go forward, you're being stopped. And there is a case, Terry versus Arizona, back to Arizona. It's a Terry stop. I mean, why?
A Terry stop?
Yeah. Why are you stopping me? You have, I mean, since 9/11, probable cause was thrown out of the window. You have a reason to stop somebody. Not today, So no one questions it. And if I find something in the stop, I do. If I don't, I'll have a nice night. That's where we're heading. And sure, this law, if it's signed into law,
it is law.
It's law. It's not by mistake. It's not by mistake. This thing is going to sweep across the country. This is just the format. It's going to sweep across the country, and that's how it is.
What if there were provisions in the law? I mean, I haven't read the law. Okay, I don't know what the law says. What if there were provisions in the law that said, well, we're going to go to employers to see that they're not hiring illegal?
That's your start. See? Okay. Now, if you really want to stop this, then you would, instead of you making a law saying you're going to legally go out and profile people, you will make a labor law saying that you can't hire someone in this country that's not documented.
Well, I think that's the law.
Well, that's been being broken.
Oh, it's being broken in a lot of places.
Well, that's the law you want to enforce.
Well, then that's the law.
Because that's the
law they should go after.
That's what they're here in droves for, to work.
But then they should say, okay, how long have you been here? You've been working. You've been earning money. You've been paying taxes, because every time you go out to a store, you pay sales tax.
Been raising families. They have a lot of children.
So they've been supporting the economy. So afford them the ability to become a citizen. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Because
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is it never was designed for them to get to that point to be classified and treated as American citizens. It's okay when they're here to work for $2 and $3 an hour. But now, when you're asking for a living wage and asking to become an American citizen, to be treated like an American citizen, oh no.
See, my thing is, okay, let's say you live in Indiana and I live in New York State, okay? Mm-hmm. You're an American citizen.
I am?
No, just say we're both American citizens,
okay.
But we live in two different states, but we have different rights because of states' rights.
Right.
Now, what's to prevent a governor from saying, okay, I am going to create an agency that is going to create citizens of the people of New York State, okay? We're going to go out and we're going to survey these people, and we're going to find out you've been working here, you've been living here, you have kids in school, okay? Now we're going to send you through the process of take it away from the federal government. Take it away from the federal government. So now I say, okay, you've been paying this, paying that. Okay, now we officially make you a citizen of the state of New York or the state of Upper Oshkosh, New York. Okay, so now along with that citizenship paper, it goes to the federal government and says, this is a citizen of New York State. I want him or her or the family or whoever the citizen is to be afforded the same citizen rights in every other state. Because we are a union.
Yep.
So what's wrong with that?
Yep. Well,
is it a good idea?
It's a good idea.
I mean, you take it out, and you're taking jobs away from the federal government. So we're not going to have that 5-year gap. I mean, we're going to create. You'll create jobs. And each state, it's like, I look at it that the states are such to where, well, if you don't like the atmosphere in New York State, or you don't like the weather, you move to Florida, or you move to Hawaii, you move to California. So it's just another place. But you're still an American citizen.
Right.
Okay? So why can't, and that goes back to, voting rights. Wait a minute. The American citizen that's in Hawaii doesn't have the same voting rights as me, because the American citizen in Hawaii can't write in a candidate's name like we can do in New York. Is that equal opportunity?
Well,
why should the states have control over our citizens?
Well, this is, they say a perfect union, not a perfect system. It goes back to just like going back to the census form, where they putting people in categories instead of looking at people as human beings.
That's how they control us.
And that's what it is. That's what you
divide and conquer. Divide and conquer, and they control us.
So, and that's what this is all about anyway.
Well, I guess that's what our society is about too. But this is an issue now. Arizona has pushed the button. It's going to be very, very interesting, because I understand they're going to federal court. It's going to be very interesting how the courts rule now.
Right, and also to make a law of this magnitude, does Arizona have the manpower to enforce such a law? What did right? They find somebody that's not documented. What are they going to do? To start detaining these people for deportation?
I don't know what's in the law. I don't know what's in the law. I would start them immediately. I would start them immediately on an investigation of how long they've been in the country, how long they've lived in the state. See if they have any criminal records. See if they, and just take it from there. And if everything is on the up and up, make them citizens. What's wrong with that?
You got to call the governor of Arizona.
The Nazi? The Ku Klux Klan person?
Well, I mean, if that's been an allegation made, it should be looked into. So.
Well, it's a private organization. The Ku Klux Klan has been allowed to, operate, right?
Well, the Ku Klux Klan is a form of an extension of the government.
Well,
so
you mean the man?
Say that?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
You
said, and the mayor? I mean, I'm hearing music in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, the music is from the other studio is kind of loud, and I hope the viewing audience is enjoying this music, and we're going to try to do something about this real quick. Maybe close some doors so we don't have the music flowing in. Anyway, I'm lost here. I don't know where I am. I lost my train of thought. Anyway,
Are we still on?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Now we have our music playing and we have their music
Right, I
playing.
can
So
hear
it's like I got rock coming through here and I got roll coming through here and I got wink over here and it's like.
And I'm rocking and rolling.
Anyway, we have to tie this up here. Any more?
Yeah, we're in a pickle. That's what.
Oh, there were more protesters there than there were, for the war on the Iraqi war, man. Why?
In a pickle.
Yeah, in a pickle. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you next week. Robin Hood, where are you now? Little John, oh